Hello everyone and welcome back to Timberborn. This is episode 21 of the One Pod Challenge. In the last episode we got a few things done. One of the biggest ones is that we started working on getting the upper part of the city constructed. As you can see, we have some water being dumped into this area, and so the beavers should be enjoying some pool facilities over here shortly. We also continue to get some more water wheels set up, and that is helping with our power shortage, since even with these we are still running a little bit short on power, about 5,000 HP short, but we do have these gravity batteries that are helping us in the meantime. And so we have a fair amount of wood at the moment and planks, so maybe we go ahead and start expanding some more of these water wheels and start going backwards. We have a lot of bots over here that are sitting around, so I think we should just go ahead right off the bat and start working on that. And so we also have a fair amount of dirt, so maybe we can utilize some of that when we construct all these. But it does start to drop in elevation across here, so that is going to be one part of this that we're going to have to deal with. And honestly, it might be worth getting a little platform area set up over here, get some tubes set up in this area, and then also get some storage so we can have some planks and wood brought over to here. That way the bots don't have to walk all the way as far to get the materials. So we can go ahead and start off with this. We'll have some of the bots work on constructing these tubeways. And I did see that someone commented that you can actually have the tubeway station on top of these tubes, and that will connect them all in, so we're going to go ahead and try that right here. And immediately the bots are hard at work. There are a few sets of levees over here, so they'll slowly start working on that as they construct these tubes over here, and then also get the tubeway set up, which we will need to actually connect that in, but we'll want to wait until they finish constructing this other stuff, that way we don't accidentally trap a beaver over here. And it looks like the fluid dump has filled up this area, so now we have some swimming pools, and have the beaver started using it? Looks like just a little bit over here. This one is just completely unused at the moment. So I was thinking about how I could expand some of the water features over here, and I was going to go over in this direction with levees, but if we get some dirt blocks placed down, which you can't place them on impermeable floors, I guess. Okay, so we can place them right here. But I was thinking if we place some of them along here that we can get some trees planted, which would be pretty cool. So we're going to go ahead and slowly start constructing some dirt blocks over here, and then we'll have to figure out what trees slash berries we actually want to plant here after we open this area up to get irrigated. And so now that this is done, we can go ahead and get the stairs set up, and we can also start thinking about getting some storage set up over here, and then we can continue to get some more levees set up over here. And it looks like they're nearly finished getting all the dirt blocks placed down. We just need to put the last few in. And then we also want to think about where we're going to place some of the other monuments. We have the stage set for the largest one, but we have some of the smaller ones we want to place down. Based on the area effect of the laborer monument, we'll probably want to place this one somewhere in the middle on either side. And then this one I think we could go ahead and get placed right here. But we'll go ahead and keep it symmetrical and get a second one placed down, since we do have a fair amount of planks, although that is dropping pretty quickly. So let's go ahead and see if we can... Oh my gosh, we have no wood. Okay, that dropped so quickly. I did not even notice that. I swear we had like 2,000 at the beginning of this episode. I know that placing the levees down definitely used some, but I did not think it'd go through that much. So we can go ahead and hold off on getting any more big things set up. They have this one completely filled up with the planks. Still have 400 remaining. Same with this one. So at the moment we're going to be sitting with just under 500 planks and 300 wood. So let's go ahead and focus on something that is not wood related. We'll get some more Badwater pumps set up over here in order to finish pumping all the bad water out of this area. And then soon the drought will be over and the water will return. And then maybe we can think about getting some water pumped into this area. Although I would like to have the bad water pumped a little bit lower before we put some water in here. Otherwise we're just going to be slowing down the process of these guys pumping out bad water. Looks like one of the monuments got constructed since their well-being went up. We do have a few bad water pumps that are no longer useful. So let's go ahead and open this up right now. And so now we have some excellent green space over here. And so now let's think about what we actually want to get planted in this area. For now we can go ahead and place a forester at the top right here, since we're still about 10,000 signs away from unlocking the largest monument. But we'll need to make sure this guy can reach everything, and we are going to be one block short, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and get some pines placed in the background. And then we'll go ahead and get some blueberries placed in the front on both sides. We can go ahead and irrigate this side as well. And just like that, the drought has officially ended, which is excellent news because we are running a little bit short on power, and the gravity batteries are nearly depleted completely. So clearly we need some more power, and we are getting ready to get that set up. with some additional water wheels, but we'll need to lay the groundwork for them first. Since we have a fair amount of dirt at the moment, this is going to be what we're going to be using to flatten some of this area out. In fact, we'll go ahead and switch this from logs to dirt for a moment, and then have it set to obtain and prioritize by haulers. And so we're very quickly going through some of our dirt stores. Let's make sure that we actually have some of these buildings on. So far, looks like we only have a couple of them working over here. And we do still have some bots who are sitting around. I know that we have a lot of these builders huts set to lowest priority. So let's go ahead and turn on some of these dirt excavators once again. We have officially depleted all of our gravity storage. And somehow these are working at 100% efficiency still. It's these gravity batteries over here. These ones, I guess, are a little bit taller, so they are working still. Since you can see, we lowered the ground quite a bit over here. But pretty soon they're going to be depleted as well. But as soon as this water level in here has risen enough and it starts going through this system, then we're going to be getting a lot of power from all these water wheels. So in the long run, I'm not too worried about it. But we do want to go ahead and get some extra water wheels constructed over here. And in just a moment, we're going to see a flood of beavers coming over here. Or a flood of bots, I should say. But really it's going to be as soon as they construct a couple of these dirt blocks, since they'll have access to all of the other ones over here. And here they come. I mean, ballpark, that's like at least 20 bots. So they're going to construct all of this stuff pretty darn quickly. And thankfully our wood stores are starting to go up a little bit. We're around 650 at the moment. And then we'll go ahead and get some birch trees planted over here. Looks like the bots are nearly at the end of getting some bad water pumped out of here. Once they get a couple levels lower, then we're actually not going to be able to reach the bad water down here. At which point we will definitely want to start pumping some water into this system. That way it can actually raise the water elevation. And they can pump the little bad water that's left out of here. So I saw they recently released a patch. I'm not sure exactly what it was about, but I don't see the ability to make any overhangs with these blocks anymore. So we'll just go ahead and continue to place all the dirt blocks over in this area. And since our wood stores and our plank stores are in a good spot now, we'll go ahead and start constructing a few more of these large water wheels. We're not going to go too crazy, we'll just place a few down for now, since they won't even really be drawing that much power, since the bad water is coming from all these different directions. And we have not quite had the chance to channelize it yet. And so we can begin to place some levees down. We're not going to go 2 rows up just yet, but we're going to extend it all the way over here. And then I'll probably block this area off. Not sure what I'll use this area for at the moment, but maybe we can go ahead and get something pretty set up over here. But even just adding in these few sets of levees over here, that is already helping to channelize it. And as soon as this gets constructed, then that's going to help a whole lot. But I will need to make sure that we're not making this whole section of water wheels a little bit too long without raising the water elevation up, because we might be getting pretty close right now. But if this is too hydraulically long, then it'll be a pretty simple fix. We'll just go ahead and remove some of these water wheels and then just start building up the elevation of the ground under here and also for the levees. So really with this one now being constructed, this is going to be the test. We'll see if it actually works. Otherwise it will probably start overtopping these levees right here. But in the meantime we can start getting some more of these levees constructed. So far the system is holding strong. It is not overtopping. We're getting a little bit closer than I would like, considering the water elevation at the back here is a little bit lower. But we can go ahead and wait for now, since we'll probably also want to get some more water wheels set up over here. And I'm now realizing that I actually won't be able to construct them since we have these platforms set up. And since we have a zillion planks right now, we'll go ahead and place some more of these platforms over here, since the new recipe makes them require exclusively planks and no wood. And so we'll go ahead and add in a couple more water wheels over here. And then if that still hasn't backed up the bad water too much, we can add a third one. I think either way we should probably raise it over here, since there's already a natural break in where the water wheels are going to be placed. And at this point I think the only thing that we didn't manage to construct is the dance studio over here, other than the monuments of course, but there is not a whole lot of room to actually fit the dance studio, since I spread out some of the other stuff that we have placed up here. So I'm doing a little bit of rearranging in order to get this dance studio set up, but it appears that removing the two-way station from right here caused some of these buildings to be disconnected. And there's a bot trapped up here. Okay. Oh, I guess I never installed the stairs over here. So we'll go ahead and get those last two set up, and then now those will be connected in. And now we can finally go ahead and get that constructed, although we'll need to rearrange the paths just a little bit. And so now that should all be accessible. Let's go ahead and get the last couple monuments set down. We know we want them over here. I should probably place them up just a little bit. So we'll have them set on either side. And the last thing is to get this Earth repopulator constructed. Well, really to get it unlocked. So that'll take 20,000 science. We are well short of that. We have 15,000 at the moment. And then looking at resources, 1,100 gears out of the 1,500 that we need. We have just under 1,000 treated planks out of the 2,000. And then 2,000 metal blocks. So let's actually go ahead and get some more storage set up for some of these. Specifically the treated planks and the metal blocks, since we definitely have more capacity to get some of those constructed. Since we definitely have more production capacity for some of those. We have lots of space over here. And I was thinking about rearranging some of these buildings, which I do still think is a good idea. So let's actually go ahead and focus on that right now. We don't need to get rid of all of these buildings. We can get rid of some of them and place some new ones down. And then it might make sense to have some of these areas that are a little bit harder to get the power shafts connected to, have them set to storage. So let's go ahead and get some storage set up right now. And so we'll immediately get some of this set to metal blocks and treated planks. And then it looks like we're also missing a control tower over here. Thankfully there's a pretty perfect spot right next to this number cruncher. And it looks like they actually already started filling up some of these other storages with some of the materials that they have. We can also go ahead and get a couple of these large warehouses set up, and these will be set to gears, since the last thing we want is to run out of gears when constructing the largest of the monuments. And I'm also seeing that, we are out of Badwater completely. Looks like they have finished pumping everything they can out of here. Let's make sure we have some of these other Badwater pumpers turned on. And so now we can finally go ahead and turn on this mechanical fluid pump. And so now we're going to get to see some of the water get into here and start irrigating this whole area. And so we can also go ahead and remove some of these bad water pumps, but we'll want to leave a couple just so that they can go ahead and get some of the bad water pumped out. So far it looks like this whole system is running efficiently. It's not flooding, which is excellent news. So we can go ahead and get the last row of levees placed down and then also place down that water wheel. You can see that the grease we have is starting to run a little bit low. We'll want to make sure that we have enough of that, since if we have a grease shortage, then all of our production will start to slow down, and it's kind of a downward spiral from there. And we do still have a fair amount of extract, which is excellent news, along with canola oil. And somehow we only have 60 storage for that. We got to change that. We'll go ahead and get canola oil set up in one of these. Where is that? Right here. And then we'll also switch one of these to grease. And it looks like we do have a drought approaching in 3 days. Our gravity batteries are fully charged up. Although, let's see, are these ones over here? Looks like they are, so we're good in that regard. And we are continuing to expand our water wheels. And before we go back around here, we'll have to go ahead and get some dirt blocks placed down in this area. And they actually placed a lot of them down pretty dang quickly. I just set up these stairs, so let's go ahead and get some more dirt blocks placed down. And then we can also place down just a couple more grease factories just in case. And maybe we even leave them paused for now. But we just want to make sure that we have capacity to produce more grease in the event that we have a science shortage or a grease shortage. Neither of which I think are likely, but we still want to make sure that we have that capacity. It looks like the water being pumped into here is just starting back up. I know that the engine wasn't getting wood, but I did prioritize it by haulers, so it should have been running for at least a few days, but maybe not. We'll see how this is going. There is some water that's slowly dripping out of here, but it doesn't look like it's getting very far. Maybe it's all evaporating. Oh, I see, because it's only pumping at 57% efficiency. We'll go ahead and get a second engine constructed. Whoa, that's pretty cool. So the bad water connected in with the water, it like auto mix. That is interesting. I haven't seen that before. But now we have a second engine that is up and running. And so this guy is running at full capacity now. Hopefully we'll start to see a little bit more water pumped out of here, since this amount doesn't seem like it's really doing a whole lot. I am honestly pretty curious to see what happens when all of these mix up. Yeah, the bad water spreads pretty darn quickly into the water. You know, I want to actually go ahead and look underground now. So we can see the water is flowing through there. Not going to be happening quickly by any stretch of the imagination. So if we wanted, we could probably add a second water pump to pump even more water through here. Although we will be experiencing a drought pretty darn quickly. So we're going to lose access to like basically all of this water. I guess there will be some that will be stored in here, since the elevation of the water going out through here is one notch above the pump over in this area. And we are once again desperately low on wood. We only have 60 at the moment, so we'll hold off on any wood projects that we have. And I realize that we also have some engines running. That is a no-no. So that will save us on some wood, since we have so much power at the moment. We have double what we need. So I may have gone a little bit overboard on planting the coffee since we are completely maxed out on it. So let's actually go ahead and remove all of this over here. And then once all these bots show up to remove it, we can go ahead and plant some trees down. And since we are still running a little bit short on Badwater, let's go ahead and get some Badwater pumps set up over here. And so we have 4 wood. And now it's getting to the point where we can't actually even make planks. So unfortunately, after 21 episodes, 34 cycles, we are still in a wood shortage. I have no idea how we arrived there. Definitely doesn't have anything to do with all these water wheels and levees I've constructed. So clearly we still need green space. We do have some areas over here that we could go ahead and utilize. Although I will want to go ahead and raise all of this up to be similar to over here. And then install some irrigation barriers down the line. And we did get the new Badwater pump set up, which is excellent news. We're still running a little bit short, unfortunately. We only have about 250-ish. So maybe we should look at getting even more constructed over here. Since they are relatively low cost, they do take a little bit of wood. So we'll place them down, but go ahead and low prioritize them. And so once we get those constructed, then we should have a decent amount of Badwater supply. You can see that the water is starting to funnel in here more. And these guys are slowly pumping all the Badwater out. You can still see a little bit of red in the water here. And so my guess is that we'll need to get a second one of these water pumps set up, which I am in the process of doing, but we're going to go ahead and pause this since placing all the levees over here requires wood, and we do not want to use wood at the moment. But it is going to take a long time to fill all this up. And so we have a lot of dirt blocks that the bots can go ahead and place down. We've gone through about half of our wood stores at the moment, and then we also have a lot of resources for them to demolish, but they're going to go ahead and focus on the dirt blocks first. The power is already starting to decline. Let's start looking at some of the buildings that we can pause. Unfortunately, I think we should start pausing some of these dirt excavators since they're not completely necessary. And then we can go ahead and pause one of these since we have the second one and the area of effect is pretty darn large, so we don't really need 2 up and running at the moment. And since it seems we have unemployed bots, let's go ahead and pause one of these bot part assemblers. And being maxed out on bot parts, we can also go ahead and pause 3 of the bot part factories. So we have come a long way in this colony, but we are still not quite there since we're still experiencing wood shortages and potentially power shortages. We are never going to fully run out of power since we have all these water wheels that will capture the Badwater power from here, as well as these water wheels in this area. But all that power is not enough to support our entire colony, and so we will continue to expand some of these water wheels over here, but then we also have this untapped area over here, since we do have a couple Badwater domes that we have access to. And it looks like the bots literally just finished placing down the last dirt block over here, and so now we can go ahead and look at either adding some dirt blocks on the outside here, or maybe just immediately getting some irrigation barriers placed down and then getting some foresters and fluid dumps set up in this area. And that is where we're going to end today's episode. We made a fair amount of progress. We have pretty much all this set up here, and we also just hit 20,000 science. So in the next episode we can go ahead and unlock the earth repopulator and get that constructed. And then we can also continue expanding our water wheel production in this area, and hopefully soon get to a point where we aren't worrying about power. So if you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and hit that like button. I really do appreciate it. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. And with that, we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.